I should have known something was wrong when the free lunch registration booth had alien calligraphy on the sign. I figured it was just corporate branding for the catering company. Turned out it was a recruitment table for the interstellar warrior trials. Apparently my signature sealed a binding cosmic contract. No refund policy. No menu options. The transport shuttle dropped me into a glowing amphitheater carved into a cliffside. A sea of tall, impossibly gorgeous alien women stared down at me from tiered balconies, their gowns shimmering like poured sunlight, their eyes glinting like they were appraising a prize stud horse. I tightened my flight jacket, feeling suddenly very evaluated. An alien herald, draped in golden feathers, strode forward. His voice boomed through the translator pinned to my collar. "The champion arrives! Let the trial of the sacred pole begin!" I blinked. "But what now?" A massive stone altar rose from the arena floor, revealing a colossal spear, ornate, carved with symbols that seemed to ripple under the alien sun. It was jammed into the stone base, like some cosmic Excalibur. The herald gestured dramatically. "The pole of Stilin, forged in the heart of a dying star. Only the most virile and worthy male can lift it." His gaze slid down my frame and lingered in a way that made me shift my stance. "Grasp it firmly. Prove your might." Somewhere above, a gaggle of alien women tittered, one whispering something that made the rest hide smiles behind delicate hands. The translator didn't bother rendering that part, but I caught the tone. I stepped up, eyeing the massive shaft of metal. "Looks heavy," I muttered. "Only the purest strength and stamina will free it from its stone cradle," the herald intoned. It was hot in the arena. The crowd's attention pressed against me. I gripped the polished metal shaft with both hands, the texture cool and oddly alive under my palms. The herald leaned in. "Steady, steady, now pull." I braced, gave it a sharp tug, and the spear slid free like it had been waiting for me all along. Gasps rippled through the arena. Not polite applause. Not impressed murmurs. Literal, audible, full-body gasps. I glanced up, confused. Every alien beauty in sight was wide-eyed, lips parted, some visibly flushing a deeper shade along their cheeks. One fanned herself with a jeweled fan. Another bit her lip. I scratched my head. "What? Was it supposed to be harder?" The herald's voice trembled. "No one, in centuries, has handled it so easily." "I work construction," I offered. "Lot of lifting." Above, a silver-skinned woman whispered something to her companion. The translator flickered on just in time to catch. "It's even thicker than the legends say." I blinked. "Sorry?" She just smiled. The herald raised my free hand like I'd just won a championship boxing match. "Behold! The champion of fertility and war!" That was an oddly specific title. The crowd roared, their voices overlapping into a wall of admiration, curiosity, and, if I wasn't imagining it, anticipation. The herald continued, clearly relishing his own theatrics. "By ancient right, the champion will now undergo the inspection of worthiness." My gut clenched. "Inspection? You must be examined," he clarified, and I swear I saw him fight a smirk. "To confirm the omens are true." The alien women leaned forward as one, their shimmering eyes locked on me like I was dessert at the royal banquet. The spear still rested in my hand, absurdly light now. I tried to smile casually. You sure this is necessary?" "It is the way," the herald insisted. "The strength you displayed, the way you took it in one motion, these are signs of unmatched vitality. The people must see." From the balconies, the murmurs turned into excited chatter. The translator fed me half-phrases. "Length, endurance, handsome for a human." I stood there, still holding the spear upright. The alien sunlight caught the polished shaft, making it gleam. The crowd gasped again. One woman clutched her chest like she'd been personally offended by physics. The herald gestured toward a silk-draped archway at the far end of the arena. "Proceed to the chamber of assessment, champion." I swallowed. "What's in there?" "Your destiny." "Great. That's never ominous." As I walked toward the archway, I heard one last, barely translated remark drift down from the balconies. The galaxy will talk about this nhood for generations. I rolled my eyes. Yeah, they're definitely talking about the spear. At least, I hoped they were. The silk-draped archway led me into what looked suspiciously like a luxury game show set. Gleaming crystal columns, glittering lights, an audience of alien women seated in elegant semicircles. In the center, a floating holodisplay read, Galactic Mate Quest, Champion Round. A slender alien host in a floor-length gown stepped forward, smiling like she'd just won the lottery. Welcome, champion, the translator said in a breathy voice. The galaxy is eager to see what you have to offer. That sounded way too flirtatious for a competition intro. She beckoned me toward a low platform. Our first segment is presentation. Stand tall. Let them see your proportions. Proportions? I muttered. Like height, weight, that sort of thing? The host tilted her head. Among other measurements. The translator beeped softly, then began broadcasting my stats on the giant holodisplay. Height 6 feet 2 inches. Weight 210 pounds. Then something glitched. My height suddenly read 12 feet. My endurance rating jumped to 900 stamina units. And for some reason, a new line appeared. Primary nhood length, 68 centimeters. My jaw dropped. Wait, what? The crowd gasped, then erupted in whispered giggles and heated murmurs. The host's pupils dilated like she was staring into a sunbeam. Impressive, she purred. I waved my hands. No, that's a metric conversion error. I don't even. Too late. The alien beauties were already leaning forward in their seats, fans fluttering, cheeks glowing. Some bit their lips. Others exchanged looks like they just discovered an ancient treasure map. The host smiled knowingly. Let us proceed to the skill trials. The first challenge was the grip test. They handed me a long ceremonial rod polished to a mirror shine and said, Hold it until your strength fails. Easy enough. I wrapped my fingers around it, lifted it, and stood there while the seconds ticked by. The host leaned closer. So firm, not even a tremor. How long can you keep it up? I smirked. Hours if I need to. Her lips parted slightly. Remarkable. A soft gasp went through the crowd. By the time the timer passed 10 minutes, the announcer declared me the steadiest male in the trials. I still had no clue they were mentally in a whole other category of competition. Next was the balance challenge. They gave me a rod twice my height and told me to keep it upright while walking across a narrow beam. My construction site reflexes kicked in, and I made it across without wobbling once. The host clapped slowly, deliberately. The control, the poise, the precision. I used to carry rebar on high scaffolding, I said with a shrug. But the crowd didn't hear the word rebar. They saw me holding a long, gleaming shaft at full vertical while navigating a precarious path, and the murmur level spiked again. The final round of the segment was something called the stamina parade. It basically meant jogging slowly around the arena with the ceremonial rod in hand while keeping it perfectly straight. A small alien drummer followed, beating a rhythmic, suggestive tempo. Don't lose the angle, the host called after me. It's most important. I jogged the circuit twice without dropping it. Sweat prickled at my neck, but it wasn't even that hard. The crowd, however, was on their feet by the end, clapping in unison, eyes shining like they just witnessed a sacred prophecy fulfilled. When I finished, the host stepped beside me, resting a delicate hand on my arm. You truly are the longest enduring male in galactic history. That's a weird title, I muttered. The host ignored me, turning to the crowd. Behold! A champion whose might flows not only from his muscles, but from his essence. The audience erupted in cheers. My translator caught stray words. Unmatched size, legend reborn, must be chosen. I stood there, smiling awkwardly, still thinking they were impressed I could carry a pole without dropping it. The host leaned in, her voice low enough that the translator almost missed it. The galaxy will never forget the sight of you, standing tall, holding so much, for so long. Thanks, I guess. Above us, a shimmering banner unfurled, my face, slightly airbrushed, next to the words. Champion of length and stamina. I couldn't even bring myself to correct them anymore. When the lights dimmed, the host took my hand. The trials are not yet over, champion. There is another test. One far more intimate. I gulped. What kind of test? She smiled slowly. You will see soon enough. Great. That's exactly what a man wants to hear when surrounded by 1,000 beautiful aliens who are all whispering about his nhood. And the worst part? I still had no idea they weren't talking about the spear. The celebration didn't last long. A sudden, low alarm rolled through the chamber, lights shifting from soft gold to pulsing crimson. The crowd's gasps this time weren't about me. The host's smile faltered, and the translator crackled. Main reactor offline. Life support will fail in 8 minutes. Engineers scrambled into the room, their uniforms streaked with grime. One of them spotted me and froze. It's him. He's the only one who can do it. Do what? I asked. The chief engineer pointed toward a heavy blast door sliding open at the far wall. The main crystalline control rod has slipped out of alignment. We need it reinserted before the core destabilizes. I blinked. So, put the stick back in the hole? A dead serious nod. Precisely. But no one here has the strength, or stamina to handle it alone. One of the alien beauties in the crowd murmured. He handled the sacred pull with ease. And the whisper spread like wildfire. By the time I reached the core chamber, every single eye was locked on me again. The rod was enormous. Twice as long as I was tall, smooth crystalline surface glowing faintly, the base thick and unyielding. It rested on the deck at a slightly awkward angle. I stepped forward, wrapping my hands around it. Cold. Heavy. The kind of heavy that made your shoulders protest immediately. Wow! I muttered. You weren't kidding. The chief engineer's voice was tense. You must guide it straight in. Don't stop halfway or you'll jam the socket. Steady pressure. Keep your grip firm. From behind me, another voice. Push it in harder if it resists. I closed my eyes for a second. That's what she said? Bracing my legs, I started to lift. My arms strained, but it came up off the deck. Slowly. The crystalline surface pulsed brighter in my grip. A ripple of excited murmurs rolled through the spectators. Careful, the chief warned. The angle is critical. The rod was heavy enough that it swung slightly, forcing me to adjust. Trying, I grunted. But it's slippery. A breathless voice from the gallery. He's holding it, so well. Sweat rolled down my back. I inched toward the reactor socket, a circular port framed with glowing rings. I lined up the rod's base and began pushing. It met resistance immediately. Don't stop, the chief barked. It has to go all the way in before it will activate. Another voice whispered. So deep? I grit my teeth, adjusting my grip and shoving harder. The rod slid in a few more inches, then stuck again. My shoulders burned. My arms trembled. Twist it, the engineer shouted. Sometimes that helps. I twisted. The crowd gasped as the crystalline surface shimmered brighter. It slid in another half-foot. My breathing came in short bursts now. Almost there. One final shove and the rod slammed into place with a satisfying, deep thunk. A blinding white light surged from the core, flooding the chamber. Consoles lit up in green. The alarms fell silent. A chorus of relieved voices erupted. The chief engineer grinned. Reactor stabilized. Life support restored. I let go of the rod, my arms feeling like overcooked noodles. My shirt clung to me, damp with sweat. I turned to face the crowd, and was met with something between reverence and outright lust in their expressions. One alien beauty clasped her hands to her chest. Such control. Another whispered to her friend. No wonder he's champion. The chief engineer approached, bowing slightly. You have done what no other could. From this day, you are master of insertion. I blinked. That's not going on my resume. But it was too late. The title was already echoing through the chamber as if it were the highest military honor. Master of insertion! Master of insertion! Petals, actual flower petals, started drifting down from some hidden vent above. A silver-skinned attendant draped a sash over my shoulders. Someone slipped a laurel-like crown on my head. The host reappeared, her eyes practically glowing. You have saved us twice in one day, champion. Your capabilities are unmatched. I shrugged, still trying to catch my breath. Just doing my job. Her smile curved slyly. Oh, you have yet to discover your true job. And just like that, I was being led back toward the grand hall, petals sticking to my sweat-damp arms, a chorus of alien women trailing behind me, all murmuring about my endurance, my grip, my ability to finish what I started. The worst part? I still thought they were talking about my work with the reactor rod. The hall was transformed when I returned. The red emergency lights were gone, replaced by golden lanterns and floating orbs of soft blue light. Alien women lined the aisle in 2 neat rows, watching me like I was the answer to every question they'd ever dared to ask in private. The host approached, hands clasped, voice warm but ceremonial. The time has come for the champion to choose his mate. I nearly tripped. Mate? You mean partner? Like permanently? A dignified elder stepped forward, her hair silver, her gown flowing. It is tradition. The one who lifts the sacred pole and restores the lifelight must take a consort to preserve the strength of the bloodline. My brain stuttered. I think there's been a misunderstanding. She raised a long finger. No. We have measured. There is no misunderstanding. A ripple of knowing giggles passed through the gathered beauties. One muttered something to another, and the translator caught only. Imagine the size of his bond staff. Apparently, there was a final test before the selection, the crafting of the bond staff. An attendant handed me a bundle of alien wood, dark and faintly iridescent, along with a set of carving tools that looked part chisel, part laser. The elder explained. The bond staff is a symbol of a male's worth. It must be long enough to stand above all others, strong enough to last through any trial, and beautiful enough to be displayed without shame. I shrugged. I build furniture on weekends. How hard could it be? As it turned out, my sense of proportion, and the fact that I didn't want to run out of length and have to start over, meant I overcut the wood by quite a bit. By the time I finished shaping it, the thing was a monster, longer, thicker, and straighter than anything the attendants had seen. Its polished surface glistened under the hall lights. Gasps again. Of course. The elder's eyes went wide. By the moons, it is larger than the ancient king's staffs. The host stepped closer, brushing her fingers along its smooth length. And so, perfectly balanced. I swallowed. Yeah, I sanded it for like an hour. The staff was carried, paraded, into the central chamber for the presentation ceremony. Alien women craned their necks to get a better view. Some bit their lips. One actually fanned herself with both hands. The elder raised her arms. Behold! The bond staff of our champion! The hall erupted in cheers. My name, or at least their attempt at it, echoed from every wall. The elder continued. This nhood will lead us into a new golden age. I winced. Still pretty sure you're talking about the staff, right? The elder ignored me and gestured for me to hold it high. I did. The polished wood gleamed like liquid fire under the lanterns. The roar of approval was so loud it made the floor tremble. The princess, yes, apparently there was a princess, stepped forward, her gown a shimmering cascade of silver threads. She was taller than me by a head, but her smile was gentle. Champion, she said softly, I would be honored if you would make me your chosen. The translator purred the words into my ear, and I blinked. Are you sure? We just met. Also, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. She took my hand, her fingers warm. The galaxy will never forget your gift. It should not be wasted. My brain scrambled for something coherent, but all I could manage was, I guess it would be rude to say no. A cheer exploded from the hall as she looped a ceremonial ribbon around my wrist, tying it to hers. The elder declared, "By bond staff and sacred pole, by stamina and by skill, you are now one." Drums pounded. Horns blared. The crowd surged forward to touch my arm, my shoulder, the staff. Compliments flew thick and fast, some of which the translator hesitated over before deciding maybe I didn't need the exact wording. Somewhere in the chaos, the princess leaned close, her lips almost brushing my ear. "Tonight you will see why we gasped." I laughed nervously. Pretty sure I've been seeing that all day. The celebration poured out into the streets, lanterns bobbing in the alien night, food stalls opening, music echoing through the stone avenues. I was swept along, the bond staff still in my hands, people stopping me every few steps for blessings, handshakes, and, more than once, a lingering glance downward. Hours later, in the quiet of the royal gardens, the princess and I stood beneath an arch of luminous flowers. She touched the staff again, smiling. "This is more than we dreamed. And you carry it with such ease." I shook my head. "I keep telling you people, it's just a piece of wood." Her smile widened in a way that told me she disagreed. And somewhere deep down, I started to wonder if maybe I'd been wrong all along, if they'd never been talking about the spear, or the staff, or the rod. But I didn't ask. Some misunderstandings, I decided, were better left uncorrected.